Straight on to the expert voices that we have for you on the show this evening on the big bank cabinet decisions. S. Narayan, former Finance Secretary, and Rajiv Lal, the Vice Chairman and Managing Director of ITFC. Mr. Narayan, I'm going to begin with you. You've been a part of the government. You've seen how clearances come in. The question that one wants to put forward to you is, do you think NIB or the Cabinet Committee on Investments, as it's going to be called, will be a game changer?
I think you have to look at the NIB from 2 or 3 different contexts. The first is the government is expressing an intention that it is going to kickstart investment and that it's very serious about growth. I think this is a message. It's a message, a sentiment booster, and a kind of a direction that all ministries must now get their act together and make sure that investment proposals are not held up in their ministries for long. So I think this is a very clear direction from the top. The second, will it be able to work together? I think a lot of cooperation from the ministries is required. Individual ministries have to make sure that the timeline set by the new body is met, because the body can take its own decision if the timelines are not met. And therefore it's very, very important that the ministries must get their act together.
Rajiv, coming to you, strong growth between 2004 and 2008 was driven by investments. Do you think the CCI, the Cabinet Committee on Investment, can prop up growth?
Well, it will be one step in that direction. I don't think that the NIB itself is the magic bullet that suddenly take India's growth rate from 5.5% to 8.5%. But to the extent that it helps restore confidence in decision-making, speed of decision-making, and it entices developers to take risk in developing greenfield infrastructure assets, it will surely but steadily help improve the environment for investment decision-making and then contribute to an acceleration of the GDP growth rate. But there will be other elements that the government will have to also act on.
All right, the other big decision that has been taken has to do with how India Inc. will perhaps go ahead and acquire land for their projects. Mr. Narayan, the question that one would want to ask you at this stage is that, do you think this will end the controversy? Will this finally end the stalemate, the unrest that one sees in land acquisition?
Not necessarily, because if you look at the law carefully, a lot of implementation responsibilities continue to lie with the state governments. The interpretation of this law has to be done by the individual state government, and the rules and regulations for land acquisition have to be laid down by the individual state governments. So they could very much be easier, they could very much be more difficult. We'll have to see how the individual state governments pan it out. I would imagine that some of the progressive state governments which are looking for faster development and more industrialization will find an easier way to deal with land acquisition after this law.
Now, Rajiv, while the new norms make acquisitions potentially more expensive, it will at least become more transparent and projects will not be stalled. So don't you think industry should go with it? Because at least it takes away the likelihood of protests that they've been seeing in the past.
If you follow the law procedurally in the acquisition of land, it would eliminate vulnerability to ad hoc protest, because people would not have a legal basis at that point to complain.